everyone, my name is Karen, this is my channel Rather Than Be Reading, and today I'm bringing to you a recent reads video. It has been a week. It's always been a week, but I say that because originally when I started doing recent reads, I had thought that there might sometimes be a longer gap, and I think that's happened like one time, but generally it's been a week, and I have read 6 books this past week, so let's just jump in and talk about them. So the very first book that I completed over this past week was Never Have I Ever by Jocelyn Jackson. This is a mystery thriller. Jocelyn Jackson previously has written, I've read a lot of Jocelyn Jackson's backlist, and she writes kind of women's fiction with a mystery twist to it. More like kind of dramatic contemporaries, but there's always usually a mystery twist to her stories. Whereas this is her most recent release, and this is more of just a straight up thriller. This one is about a woman who is part of a book club, and book club is happening, she hosts it at her home, and book club is happening one day when this new woman who has come to the town, who's living in kind of a short-term housing in the area, comes to the book club one evening, and she kind of takes over the book club, and she starts playing a game called, she calls it Never Have I Ever, but it's a different version of Never Have I Ever, where you start off by saying the worst thing you did that day, and then the winner is the person who did the worst thing. Like, everyone else judges who did the worst thing, and then everyone else has to drink. And you start on the worst thing you did that day, then you move on to the last thing you did that week, the last thing you did that month, the worst thing you did that year, the worst thing you've ever done. And the main character feels like she's being kind of targeted by this new woman who's come because she has some things in her past that she would prefer not to talk about. And so that's kind of where the story kicks off from. I really, really enjoyed this book. I'm a fan of Jocelyn Jackson. I have always enjoyed her writing. I've always enjoyed her stories, but I genuinely thought this was a good thriller. It's probably, I don't know if thriller, mystery, whatever. It was a good story. There were a few twists and turns in there that I didn't see coming, which I adore in my thrillers. I thought that the author did a great job of creating like this tense kind of vibe. The story becomes very much kind of a cat and mouse type game almost, and I really enjoyed that. And I actually really enjoyed the main character, because you're kind of with her throughout the story, watching her deal with everything that's kind of coming up and going on and trying to figure out what she's going to do next. I really enjoyed all of that. I was really rooting for her. Like I said, and there were twists that I didn't see coming, and because at first I was like, as the story was going on, I was like, okay, this is good, I'm enjoying it, I like the character and all of that, but I was thinking there doesn't seem to be anything too mysterious here. And then as the story went on, a couple of things came up that I was like, oh, okay. And I really loved that about this story, and I really genuinely enjoyed it, and I ended up giving it 4.25 stars. I then read Dead of Winter by Cressley Cole. This is the 3rd book in the Arcana Chronicles. I've mentioned it before, but I'll mention just quickly, this is a YA post-apocalyptic paranormal type of series. The apocalypse basically has happened, and we're following a post-apocalypse, following a girl who, there's a group of people who all embody a different one of the major arcana from the tarot. And I don't want to say too much from that because I feel like you kind of need more to really get what's going on, but you don't find out much more than that until quite a ways into the first book, so I don't want to spoil anything. This has 2 terrible romances in it. The first book is more focused on one person. It does kind of become a love triangle. Both guys are equally toxic in their relationships, and the thing in this one is that I felt like a big chunk of this book is about the love triangle. A lot of the plot and stuff is driven around the love triangle, which I really don't like when YA authors do that. It's still enjoyable, it's still an enjoyable story, but it just kind of becomes all that. It's kind of like the world's ending, the world's literally ending, and, or there's already been this whole thing, most of the world is gone and dead, and this is what we've got to worry about. Come on. But it's still enjoyable enough. I'm not sure when I'll get to finish this series because there's a novella after this, a 3.5, and then book 4, both of which my library has. So I've requested both of those because I don't own any more of the books in this series. But then book 5, my library doesn't have. So I put in a request for them to get it, but I'm not sure if they will. But yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to end up reading the rest of these, but I will hopefully get to the end of this series eventually because I do enjoy it enough. Like I say, this one wasn't my favorite, but I ended up giving this 3 stars. I then read The Leaving Party by Leslie Sanderson. This is a digital copy that I received in exchange for an honest review from NetGalley. This one was published on the 31st of January, so is out now, ready for you guys to purchase if you're interested. So this is a thriller. It's about a woman who is living with a roommate, and or like a housemate, I guess, because they're not roommates when you like share an actual room, right? Like kind of in college when you have your own beds but you're in the same room, whereas housemates is when you like share a house but you don't share a bedroom, right? Anyway, they're housemates, and she has been in a long distance relationship with her partner. They live in the UK and her boyfriend lives in New York. And she has decided that she's now going to move to New York to be with her boyfriend, and she's leaving. And part of the pressure of her leaving is that there's something in her past that she's experiencing a lot of guilt over, and you don't really know what that is, but there's a lot coming up about that, and she wants to kind of go to finally really escape that. And they're having a going away party for her, and sinister stuff starts to happen, and she feels like the person who's kind of been leaving her sinister things and stuff over the years about this event from the past is at the party. And you do get multiple perspectives because you get her perspective. You also get the perspective of the housemate, who's like her best friend for ages, who doesn't want her to go and is upset that she's leaving, all of that type of thing. This, I don't know, I had really mixed feelings about this one. It's very short. It's only like 230 pages. The majority, like almost the whole story takes place on this night of the party. So it's very much like contained in kind of one, like not just setting, but event. You don't get it over weeks or months. It's all set around leading up to the party, etc. There were some interesting friendship themes in there. Like I said, you've got the main character and her housemate / best friend, and you do get a lot of like friendship stuff between the two of those, which I really liked because I love friendship themes in books. And the thing that I struggled with was that I felt like all of the character interactions in this story, anytime the characters were having like a really like intense conversation because something was going on, not just the two like main characters, like interacting with like anyone, so many of the responses like to those situations just didn't make sense to me. Like the character would find out that someone had been lying about something and would confront that character, and then the character would give some really like piss poor excuse, and then the conversation would just swiftly move on, or they'd leave and go, oh okay, and then go talk to someone else, and I was like, we haven't resolved the issue. Like it was just really strange. Or they would be trying to question someone about it, and then they would get interrupted by someone else, and it's not like the person left and then it would just be dropped and then they wouldn't bring it up again. And I was like, okay, but you got interrupted, you've dealt with that, are you now gonna continue the conversation about this really important, really awful like thing that's happening? That all of that was just felt really strange to me. It just didn't feel like the way that things would actually go if any of this was like happening in real life. I didn't super love the outcome of the mystery. It felt like one of those situations where the reader isn't really given enough information to like put things together. I wasn't overly shocked, but at the same time the reader isn't really given information to like put the complete story together because you're just not given that information. And then also, despite the fact that this was a really quick, I feel like I've been talking about this book forever. Despite the fact that the book was really short and so it was a really quick, easy read, the pacing of the story felt really slow. I think because it is all set at this one party, even though the book's quite short, so it's only 230 pages of that party, it still just felt like this party was going on for forever. And can we talk about how much these people drink? Like, every scene these people are like having a drink, and I was like, if these people were drinking as much as what the author is saying in these books, everyone would be passed out within like the first hour of this party, because most people cannot drink the way these characters were drinking in this story without without being seriously sloshed. Yeah, I don't know if I have too much more to say about, oh, I will also say that, very quickly, that the whole issue with like the event in the main character's past, I wasn't buying like that. Like, it didn't make sense to me. I can't go into too more detail about kind of what I mean by that without spoiling the book, but I just wasn't really buying it. So this book was okay. Like, I didn't hate it. It was like an enjoyable enough story, but it definitely had its problems, and in the end I gave that 3 stars. I then read The Girl with a Clock for a Heart by Peter Swanson. This is a thriller. Peter Swanson wrote The Kind Worth Killing, which is probably his most popular book, and I read that a while ago and really loved it, and then I bought this one, which is his debut novel. This is about, I don't know, it's funny because the synopsis on Goodreads is what I had originally read, which drew me in to wanting to read this. But then having read this, the synopsis on the back, as you can see, is very short. It doesn't give anywhere near as much away as what the Goodreads synopsis does, which is probably good because quite a bit of the stuff in the Goodreads synopsis doesn't happen until quite a ways into the book. It's not really spoilery, but it does still give like a lot of it away. So I'm just going to read to you the back of what this says, which is, what if your college sweetheart, the girl of your dreams, suddenly disappeared? 20 years later, she's back, she's in trouble, and she says you are the only one who can help her. So that kind of gives you that's a very general, like, just a light smattering on the surface of what this is really about. I really enjoyed this. I definitely want to read, I think I own a couple more Peter Swanson, if I recall. I've got a few of his on my TBR, and I'm excited to get to them because I've enjoyed both of his books that I've read so far. The journey that this story kind of takes you on with the main character and like trying to figure out what is going on, because this is a book that's got like a lot of lies. Like, there's a lot of, you think it's this, and then something happens and you realize, oh, that wasn't true, it was really this. And not in an unreliable narrator way necessarily, it's just he thinks this is happening, so you think it's this way, and then something gets revealed and you realize, oh no, it was really like this the whole time, so you think it's this way, and then you realize, oh wait, no, it's actually like this, and it's this way, and then, oh no, it's actually like this, and it's this way. There's a lot of like twists and turns, not like twists as in like shocking like plot twist moments, but just lots of twists and turns in the actual plot, which I really enjoyed. The story really like takes you on a ride, which I really enjoyed. I wanted a little bit more from the ending, but overall I genuinely really enjoyed like the journey of reading this. Like, it was just an enjoyable read, and I ended up giving it 3.75 stars. I then read Takedown 20 by Janet Ivanovic. This is book 20 in the Stephanie Plum series. Very quickly, if you don't know, the Stephanie Plum series is a chick lit series. It follows Stephanie Plum, who is a bounty hunter, but she's very like an inept bounty hunter. She's not very good at it, and it's very like shenanigans ensue. This is very like a comedic type of chick lit. It's supposed to be very like funny and light and lots of ridiculous shenanigans. Like, nothing that happens in these books would ever happen in real life, but that's what's happening. I am seriously, this is book 20. I am seriously invested in this series, and the main thing I'm invested in, you know, if you've been watching my channel, is the relationship, because there's a love triangle in this series, and it's book 20, and we don't have a resolution to the love triangle. So if you're not willing to go long haul on this, and I don't know when we're going to find out. Book 26, I think, came out this year, sorry, in 2019. So there's 6 more books. Has the love triangle even been decided yet? I don't know if 26 is the last or if there's still more to come out. There probably is, because it seems like these books are never ending. I did also read in a review, and I don't know if it's true, that someone said that she's not actually writing them anymore, even at the point of this like book point of book 20, that they were being ghostwritten by like her niece or something because she had a sick relative that she was taking care of. I don't know if that's true. If it is true, I don't know if it's for since a certain point in the series and she hasn't written any of them anymore, if there was just 1 or 2 that were being ghostwritten because of the family situation. I don't know, but it's not that I don't enjoy the series. I'm not hate reading them. They're still enjoyable enough, but they're nothing fantastic. But I need to know what happens with this love triangle. And I come down firmly on one side of the love triangle, and I think I'm the unpopular opinion, because whenever I read reviews, everyone's like really rooting for one particular person, and I'm really on the other side. So I'm not going to really say which side I'm on. Like, if you've read the series and you want to know, like, comment down below and I'll let you know. But I just don't want to, I don't like sometimes when someone firmly says who they root for, and then when it comes to them talking about what happened in the love triangle, they might not say who they ended up with, but you can tell by their reaction to whether they liked it or didn't like it who they ended up with. Like, I've been spoiled by that in people's reviews before. I literally had someone say once, I'm not going to tell you who she ends up with, but just know I was really happy. And like, she'd been gushing about one particular person, and I was like, well, I think I can figure out who you were talking about, like which one she ended up with, I mean. So I don't want to give anything away, but I fall firmly on one side. I seem to be the unpopular opinion. I feel like that's probably going to end up meaning it doesn't go in my favor, but I'm really invested and I need to know. So I'll keep going with this series. And like I said, there's only 6 more and I've read 20 at this point. So like, even if like in the next book it comes out, I'll probably keep going because like I've invested a lot of time in that series. Anyway, let's move on to the final book that I completed over this past week, and that is Slayer by Kirsten White. So this book got bumped up my TBR because, spoilers for my January book haul, I was approved for the e-arc of the second book in the duology Chosen off NetGalley. And the published date on NetGalley for book 2 is the 1st of February. So I wanted to read this so that I can pick up Chosen and read that, you know, within a timely fashion of the published date. So let's talk about this. So for those of you who don't know, sorry, of course, as per usual, my feet have fallen asleep. For those of you who don't know, this is a book set post the Buffy the Vampire Slayer television show. If you're new here, you may not know, Buffy the Vampire Slayer is my favorite TV show of all time. I really, really, like, I passionately love that television show. I have seen it all the way through at least like 7 times. One of my favorite things to watch on YouTube is people who have never seen Buffy reacting to the TV show. Like, I watch a lot of people react to Buffy. Like, I am firmly invested. It's a big love of mine. And this book got pretty low praise from most readers from what I had heard. So I was nervous, but there's no way I wasn't going to read it because I'm just such a huge fan of the show. This is hard for me to review because I feel like my thoughts on this are heavily affected by how much I love the show, because this is not the show. And doesn't come anywhere near as close to the magic of the show. And it's really hard. I don't want to, so if I was literally rating this based on how it compares to the show and how it lives up to the show, this would be like 1 star. Like, it doesn't get anywhere close. But I tried to rate this based more on just this story on its own, which is hard because it's like, should you rate it based just on this? Like, if I had read this, and you could read this and not have read the show or watched the show. Anyway, I don't want to give too much about what this book is actually about away, because you can't really say what this is about without spoiling the end of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which I refuse to do because I would love if every single person on the planet watched that show. So I'm not going to really say what this is about, just that it is set post the end of the television show. This has a lot of Easter eggs in it for people who've watched the show, not just the show, but the movie. Because if you don't know, there was a Buffy movie prior to the show ever coming out that didn't go the way the creator of the show wrote the script for that movie, and then he lost a lot of creative control and the movie wasn't what he wanted it to be, and then years later he ended up being able to do the TV show, and the TV show became what it was. But there is a lot, not just of the show, but of the movie, that they're both kind of tied in here. So there are a lot of little Easter eggs, but at the same time, not enough, even though there was a lot, which sounds strange, but there's so much that I was like, if you're going to give this little Easter egg over here about this, then really you need to tell us about these other things that I would want to know about, like being a fan of the show. But then you don't ever get that, but you just get these other random little bits that you don't really care about, if that makes sense. I didn't care about the characters, and one of the great things about the Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV show is the characters. Over the course of that show, you come to love those characters so dearly that they could be doing almost anything and you would watch it, because they're just so, their chemistry together, everything about them and the way they interact together, but just each of them individually is so like exquisitely done. And this book fell so flat on that for me. I literally didn't care about a single character in this. Also, one of the main criticisms of this that I've seen is that even though this is written, it would be seemingly for fans of the show, everyone in this book hates on the main character of that show. Buffy, obviously, like I spoke about it, like as if you shouldn't know who she is, Buffy. And I will say that most people who love Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show, their favorite, almost no one's favorite character is Buffy herself. I love Buffy, but even then, I love her and she's not my favorite character. And I think you'd find very few people who would say that she is, but most people still love her. How you can then write a book that is like targeted at fans of that, like that fan base, and then not shit all over it, because they don't do that, and it kind of gets addressed a little bit that everyone kind of is hating all over her, but then like not enough to like pull you back in. I feel like my thoughts on this are so incoherent. I probably should have done like a standalone review of this, but I just don't have it in me to do it. So I don't think this was good for fans of the TV show, but then at the same time, I'm like, would you enjoy this if you hadn't watched the TV show? I don't know. Wasn't engaged in the characters. A reveal that kind of happens towards the end, I actually didn't see coming. And then I was like, but at the same time, I wasn't shocked by it at all. And then when I was thinking about why I wasn't like shocked by it was because I didn't care. I was not trying to figure out what that reveal was, because I wasn't invested enough in the story to care about what that was, that when I got to the end and it was like, oh, this is what that is, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that was like even a thing that I should be like trying to work out, because, or maybe I shouldn't have been trying to work out, but I normally would, because I just didn't care. I don't know, this is weird. I actually have written down here that I've given this 3 stars, but I think I'm going to take that down to a 2.5, because really thinking about this, like, I didn't hate this. I read it and like it was okay enough, but I just don't think this is everything that it should be, or that I wanted it to be. And it's really hard for me to separate my love for the show, and like how that affects my rating of this. And I don't know whether I should do that, like, or whether I mean, I'm not capable of doing it, but even if I was capable, should I try to separate my thoughts from that for what this is, when this is literally based on that? I don't know. Let me know what you think down below, on whether you think that you should be able to like separate your feelings about the like original subject matter when this is like based on a like established fan base. I don't know. And like, you can tell that Kirsten White was like a fan of the show. Like even, not the dedication so much of this one, although it is kind of the dedication of this one, but the dedication of the second book, when I picked up the second book, is like an Easter egg. That in and of itself is like a little like, oh, of the show. And like, there's so much of that peppered throughout that I was just like, you can kind of see what the author was trying to do, but at the same time, I'm like, but then why? Like, I don't know why you've gone, my thoughts are so incoherent. I'm going to stop. Like I said, I think I'm going to put this down to a 2.5. And that's it. That's everything I read. In terms of my current read, I'm not actually currently reading anything. I did pick up Chosen by Kirsten White, the sequel to this, but I haven't actually started. I literally read the dedication because I finished this last night, and then I picked up my Kindle and I was going to start it, and then it was like 1 a.m. and I was like, no, you just really need to go to sleep. So I will be starting that today and reading that, because the publish date of that is the 1st of February, which is today. So I will be reading that next, but I haven't actually started it yet. Whoo! This video like became a real jumbled mess at the end, but I would love to chat with you guys in the comments down below if you've read any of these books, if you've got any thoughts, or I'd even love to chat about what you guys have been reading recently. Like, let's just chat in the comments down below. Please like this video if you liked it. Please subscribe if you want to see more of my channel. That is all I have for this video today. Bye guys!